What's going on, guys, and welcome to another segment of Move Better Mondays, where we talk about tips and tricks to help you move, perform, and function better. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about runner's knee or patellofemoral syndrome. It's just a fancy way of saying patellofemoral syndrome, but runner's knee is a very common issue amongst a lot of individuals. And today we're going to be going over my 4 tips on how to successfully get rid of runner's knee. Now, I'm not going to be going over all the very fine detail. I'm not going to be covering over extremely specific exercises that I would use for specific cases. I'm going to be going over the bare bones, the stuff that is usually going to take care of about, maybe I want to say about 50 to 60% of it, potentially even more. I'm ballparking my number here. But it's gonna be a great start, at least for you, to start in that path and all on that journey of getting rid of that runner's knee. So what are the causes of runner's knee? Runner's knee is essentially just a misalignment of the knee. It could be a misalignment of the kneecap, where the kneecap's gliding in the wrong direction. It's either sliding too far to one side or the other, or it's pulled up too high because, let's say, your quad is tight. The misalignment could be coming from your foot. Your foot could be collapsing in too hard, and the outside of your foot could be lifting up, which is gonna cause stress in the knee. But essentially, a lot of it always really comes down to poor mechanics and repetitive movement with poor mechanics. So coupling those two together is a recipe for runner's knee and pain. Now, a little disclaimer before we get started: have this checked out. Have your knee checked out by a professional, either an athletic therapist, physiotherapist, osteopath, someone that's gonna have some expertise in the matter to be able to really get in there and make sure that you actually have runner's knee. Okay, so step number 1 is going to be the easiest part, which is resting. Now, because we are in October, a lot of people that are usually seasoned runners have already put away their shoes for the winter. They're gonna be stepping away from it a little bit, and that's gonna allow us that time that we're gonna need to really step away from it, reduce the wear and tear on the knee, and reduce the stress on the knee, and allow it to start healing and allow the tendon to start healing. So you're gonna wanna allow the tendon to heal, but also when we are doing our exercises, if your knee is quite inflamed and you're doing some exercises, there might be a chance that you might irritate it more, and you're just gonna wanna stop the exercises altogether, and you're just gonna think it's not working, where in reality you want it to maybe pull away from the running. So if you haven't stopped running, I would take a step back for a little bit, start addressing this properly, and usually the best part is that you're gonna have such a big window if you are a seasonal runner, you're just running during the summertime, you're gonna have a big window of the winter where you're gonna have time to really spend on kind of taking care of this injury and kind of approaching it, maybe strengthening the knee up a little bit, strengthening up your mechanics, improving your mechanics, cleaning up that movement pattern, and that is gonna allow you to avoid this injury from coming back next year. Step number 2 is gonna be soft tissue work. So before we get into the soft tissue stuff, which I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna be showing you one of the, basically the places that you should be working with. Now, soft tissue is gonna be basically one of 2 things that I usually tell people. It's either foam rolling or you're getting it manually treated. Now, manually treated is your best option. It's the most effective option. Does it mean that a foam roller is not gonna do you any good? No, foam rollers do work, but they're not the best tools for it. They're not gonna be anywhere near as capable of getting rid of some of that tension, especially in the quad, which we're gonna be working on today, that a manual therapist, an athletic therapist, or a sports massage therapist is going to be able to do. They're just not gonna have that. You're just not gonna be able to get to that level of expertise and that level of effectiveness. So definitely get that checked out, or definitely get that worked on by them if you have that opportunity. If not, grab your foam roller. We're gonna go check that out right now. Okay, so now that you've grabbed your foam roller, it doesn't have to be the small one, it could be a long one, it doesn't really matter. Grab your foam roller. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be working on the quad. The quad is gonna be one of the primary sources of this injury. It doesn't mean it's the only place, but it's gonna be one of the primary sources. So grab your foam roller. What we're gonna do is we're gonna lie down on it, and I'm gonna show you from the inside here. What I'm gonna be doing is dropping my knee on the inside here, and that's gonna give me kind of some leverage so that when I'm rolling my quad, I'm not putting all my weight on it. Because if you have this type of injury, this type of pain, there's a very high chance that your quad's gonna be really sensitive. So you're gonna want that knee on the outside that's gonna allow you to kind of take some pressure off using your arm, your knee, and this back foot to really kind of prop yourself up a bit and not put all kinds of pressure on it, and just kind of gradually work through it and work yourself into that comfort zone where you're gonna be able to put a little bit more pressure and get a little bit deeper into the massage. So I'm gonna revert back over here so you guys can actually see what's going on. I'm starting with the roller just at the top of my knee, and I'm gonna be rolling right down towards the hip. Once I get to the hip, I'm coming back up, and I'm going at a nice easy pace here. I like to tell people about 2 inches per second, 1 to 2 inches per second, nothing much faster than that. You wanna take your time because you might end up, if you're going too fast, what ends up happening is you don't really give yourself much chance to really find out what areas are a little bit more sensitive than others, and that's gonna be where you're gonna see all that kind of progress coming from, is really finding those sensitive areas, working through them. If you notice that now, I've done it about 3 or 4 times here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate my foot. So I'm gonna rotate my foot out, I'm gonna rotate my foot in, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow me to expose other areas of my quad. Now, the quad is, like every muscle, is round. So with a flat roller and a round muscle, you're gonna need to do some manipulation of your foot to be able to expose the entire muscle group. Now, once you've done that, you're gonna roll, get the outside as well, turn your foot in to get the outside. This, like I mentioned, is just one of the areas that you can foam roll. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end all be all and it's the only one you should do and you shouldn't do anything else. You know, there's so much musculature in that lower body and around the leg area that you're gonna wanna be able to kind of explore a bunch of different areas. And if you're looking for something a little bit more extensive, I'm gonna link up above right here a link to my full lower body clip on how to do foam rolling for the entire lower body. So the second portion of the quad that we're gonna have to do, we have to reposition ourselves, is gonna be the inner quad here, this inside area that usually gets kind of triggered a bit when it comes to runner's knee. So what you're gonna do is you're putting the roller right out about hip height, taking your knee, bending the knee, dropping it over, and from here you're just rolling towards your stomach and then coming back. So if you wanna move it around, you can start it a little bit closer to your knee, and then as it goes on, you can pull it up and get it a little bit higher. Now, I know this is not your quad, this is gonna be more of a groin area. The quad is actually just near the bottom here, and when your foot is actually rotated up like this. But that's usually an area that gets kind of irritated a bit. It's commonly irritated when someone's dealing with runner's knee. So I would highly recommend you do throw some inner thigh foam rolling in there as well. So now that we've done this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our foam roller, we are going to put it to the side, we're gonna get to step number 3, which is flexibility, stretching, mobility, basically creating some movement at some of the major areas. So one of the major areas you're gonna wanna work with is going to be the quad. Again, you're gonna wanna stretch out that quad area. It's usually a high traffic area for this because the quad usually goes right over the front here, and this is where your injury and your pain is gonna be. We're gonna wanna address anything that's really directly related to that. That's the first place we're gonna wanna work. Again, this is not the end all be all routine. This is the bare bones, what's gonna deal with the majority of issues. This is what's gonna help the majority of you get rid of the pain and then start doing some of the exercises, okay? So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a stool or a bench, couch is fine, anything that you can really prop your leg up on to get a nice good quad and hip flexor stretch. Okay, so now this is gonna be the quad stretch. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna grab your leg, you're gonna put your leg, I use the chair here just so that you guys could see that it is possible with the chair. Usually I would just put my leg up on a bench and be much more comfortable. You could put a pad under your knee for this. What we're gonna be doing is just bend that back knee, get yourself nice and tall here. You're gonna be feeling that stretch on that quad. What we're trying to do is there is a chance that because your quad is gonna be really tight, that it will be yanking that kneecap upwards in people that have runner's knee. So it's very possible it pulls up on it. To avoid the pulling, what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch it out. We're gonna follow that up with our last step, which is gonna be the exercises, but that's gonna allow us to really give us a chance to strengthen an opposing muscle group, which is gonna be the hamstring, to allow this to kind of resettle and get a nice little bit of balance. So it's gonna be pulling less on this, and it has to do with the hip. I'm not gonna really get into it, but if you guys want a more complete mobility thing, again, linked up above here. I'm also gonna put these in the description for you, so you don't have to really sit there. So that's 30 seconds, almost took my head off on this bar up here. I don't even know if you guys see it. I'm gonna put a complete list down and above of all the little extra, the more complete versions of these mobility or soft tissue routines that I think might be beneficial for you as well. Now, there is a potential that this problem is coming from the foot. And again, the foot is a little bit more complex and has a lot more to it than just kind of like stretching the calf or rolling the foot. So you're gonna wanna roll, do all those things. But again, complete foot right here, linked up above, and then down again in the description portion as well. I'm gonna be putting it in there so that you guys can see a more complete version of how to treat the foot, how to take care of the foot. I think these are all really important clips for you to watch. I just wanted to cover something for someone that's really just trying to get the information, the bare bones to get started with this. If you're looking for more complete stuff, there's pieced together more complete list so that this clip doesn't last 45 minutes for me showing you all the entire process. All right, so step number 4 is going to be strengthening. Now you're gonna wanna strengthen basically there's a ton of different muscles that could be weak, as I've mentioned already like a million times, but the areas that are usually gonna be the culprits are gonna be hamstrings and glutes. The reason why that's happening is hamstrings are getting into a really unfavorable position because the quads are too tight, so you're not getting the hamstring to fire as well. And number 2, if the knee is caving in, external glute muscles are not able to stabilize that knee, generally because the feedback from the foot is not really there, which is why I recommended you check out that foot stability. We're still gonna touch a bit on some foot stability in a couple of seconds here, but the first thing we're gonna do is wanna get that hamstring going. We just released the quad, let's strengthen up that hamstring. So grab your foam roller, you're gonna place it between your knees. Now for this, I'm wearing shoes. I recommend for these exercises that you don't. The thing is that these shoes are extremely flat, they're really flexible, and they're basically barefoot. So it's not the end of the world if you are wearing shoes that are like this, that are completely flat. These are Vivo barefoots. They're like basically supposed to replicate barefoot training, but again, try to get yourself without shoes so that at least you can get a good feel of it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lie down on your back, hands beside you, brace the core, squeeze gently. You're not trying to crush it. Squeeze gently on the roller here. Press your butt up into the air. We're gonna hold this top position. From here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that my foot is getting a nice, even distribution of force throughout the entire foot. I don't want it coming onto the heels or up onto the toes. It's getting a nice, comfortable press evenly throughout the foot. From 10 seconds, I'm going down and up. I'm gonna go for about 10. Now, what I'm looking for from this is I wanna make sure that my core is staying contracted the entire time. I'm bracing and coming up, using the hamstrings, using the glutes, making sure that my core is on, and really trying to get that kind of that nice posterior chain is what we call it, to get the hamstrings, glutes, and everything to really extend properly, releasing the front of the hip and giving us a little bit more strength so that our quad can release because our hamstrings and our glutes are there to really kind of take over some of that load. All right, so for the last step of this, which is going to be the standing phase of the strengthening portion, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab yourself in a little elastic. If you're anywhere near my facility or On Performance, you guys can swing by, grab an elastic here. If not, they're available on Amazon. They're really cheap, nothing crazy, but super effective and really versatile. You can use these for a bunch of different exercises. So grab them, put it around both your knees. You're gonna want it just above the kneecap. From here, what I'm gonna be doing is separating my feet, getting just about shoulder width apart. From here, I'm taking my knees, I'm actually just outside of shoulder width. I'm gonna be taking my knees and pressing them out to the side. From the side, I'm in a nice athletic stance. I'm not standing up straight, my knees aren't forward. I'm getting the butt back, I'm in a nice athletic stance. I'm gonna be holding this for about 15 seconds. I'm not gonna do it right now because it's gonna be too long, but holding it for 15 seconds. When I'm done the 15 seconds, my knees are gonna come in just a bit, and then I'm gonna force it out. And I'm just trying to get control of this muscle on the side here to get an understanding of how to stabilize and reposition that knee. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bridge that gap between my foot, my knee, and my hip to understand where the pressure needs to be on my foot, for my knee to be in the right position, for my hip to be firing, to get that stability that I need, to stop my knee from caving in, and to stop this knee pain, okay? So once you've done about 15 of those, you're gonna go 15 with one leg, and then you're gonna go 15 with the other leg. Same thing, just a little bit. You don't wanna come in too far where your outside of your foot comes off the ground, just a bit and press out. You've done this, so now we're gonna move to the last one. Last one here is gonna be tricky. You can do this with an elastic, without an elastic. I'm gonna show you without an elastic. If you wanna try it with an elastic on, you are more than welcome, be my guest, give it a shot. It's really hard though, okay? So, first one, what you're gonna do is you're going to get your foot basically planted in front of you. The back foot is gonna come back. So your toe, if you notice on this foot, my toe is just touching the ground. I don't have my foot down like this, like in a lunge. It's just a tip of my toe. It's just to give me some stability while I position myself for this. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to drop down to like a half squat position, half single leg squat position. My back foot can basically come up off the ground here. My back foot's not supporting any weight. I'm just here for giving you a little bit of additional support. You should feel that butt muscle come on, and you're gonna be looking for that alignment. Toe, knee, hip. When you've got this alignment, you're gonna be good to get back up. You're gonna go down, hold for 5 seconds, try to get this alignment for 5 seconds, come back up. We're gonna do that 5 times per side. You can do this with an elastic and basically try to just give yourself a little bit of tension out with the other side of the foot, so it's gonna make you kind of work to keep that foot out and aligned, and you're gonna get this butt working. You're also gonna start feeling it in your foot as well, which is gonna be a great way for you to understand the connection between those two areas. Now, if you have any questions on this, if you have any further questions on knee pain, feel free to ask them down in the description below. If not, have yourselves a great day. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this with a friend that you know is a runner and has knee pain. See you guys next time.